Good afternoon, Facebook, YouTube, Daily Motion, and Twitter. This is Rich again, back for your third video blog of the day for Monday, February 2nd, 2015, around 2:48 p.m. in Billerica, Massachusetts. The groundhog saw his shadow. 6 more weeks of winter, and it's about a foot of snow in Billerica, Massachusetts. Some news to report. Browns quarterback Johnny Manziel has entered rehab, and also Mavericks point guard Rondo Raja is going to be out a couple of games with facial fractures, and the Rolling Rally Parade for the New England Patriots for the Duck Boats through the streets of Boston happen tomorrow beginning at 11 a.m. 1 million people are going to be attending this rolling rally, and they're getting the snow off the streets so the fans can see the rolling rally parade. And that's about it on that. The next subject I'm going to talk about is the Dallas Cowboys Super Bowl dynasty of the 1990s. The Cowboys won 3 Super Bowl championships within 4 seasons. In the 90s, they were a great team, one of the greatest NFL dynasties of all time. The Cowboys came into the National Football League in 1960, and they had Tom Landry as their head coach, and they had some pretty good teams in the 60s, led by quarterback Don Meredith. They were real competitive. Beginning in 1966 through 1985, the Cowboys had 20 straight winning seasons and only missing the playoffs twice, 1974 and 1984. They were so competitive. And they had Meredith as quarterback in the 60s. Then they had Roger Staubach as quarterback in the 70s. Plus they had Ed Too Tall Jones and Tony Dorsett running back, and a few other players. And they won 2 Super Bowls, Super Bowl 6 against Dolphins, and Super Bowl 12 against Broncos. But by the 1980s, the Dallas Cowboys were on the decline. Staubach retired, and then Too Tall Jones and Tony Dorsett were aging. The quarterback for the Cowboys most of the 80s was Randy Wright. He was a decent NFL quarterback, but he wasn't a superstar. The Cowboys made several NFC Championship games in the early 80s, but they didn't get over the hump. By 1985, the streak of 20 straight winning seasons and the playoff stretch became over, and the Cowboys went through a few ownership changes. The records for the Cowboys struggled. 1986, 1987, 1988, they had losing seasons, and the Cowboys were up for sale on March 13th, 1989. Jerry Jones bought the Dallas Cowboys, and he immediately fired Coach Tom Landry, who's been with the team since its inception in 1960. Was very shocking, and he was replaced by Jimmy Johnson, who was the head coach of the University of Miami football team. And the Cowboys drafted Troy Aikman as the quarterback of the future in 1989 as a top pick. 1989 was the worst season for the Cowboys ever. 1-15, but they made a blockbuster trade. They traded Herschel Walker to the Minnesota Vikings for draft picks, and these draft picks helped the Cowboys develop their dynasty in the 1990s. Cowboys were loaded in the draft picks they had. They drafted Darryl Moose Johnson and Mark Stephen Fisk, Emmitt Smith, Eric Williams, Darren Woodson, Michael Irvin, Nate Newton, Ken Norton Jr., Mark Taveri, Jeff Coat, and Jay Novacek, and Charlie Hanley. A few of them were acquired by trades, and by 1990, the Cowboys were getting back into the swing of things. They had a 7-9 record. Jimmy Johnson got some Coach of this Year consideration. 1991, the Cowboys made the playoffs again, and they made them for the next like 6 years in a row. They made it to the NFC divisional round as a wild card team. Beginning in 1992, the Cowboys won 5 straight NFC East titles again. And then they beat the 49ers in the NFC Championship game in 1992. And then they murdered the Buffalo Bills by the score of 52-17 in Super Bowl 27 in Pasadena, California. One of the most blowout games in pro football history for a championship game. In Super Bowl 28, the Cowboys had beat the Bills again by a score of 30-13, and this was 2 straight for the Dallas Cowboys, but there was internal strife within the Cowboys. Jimmy Johnson and Jerry Jones butt heads a lot with personnel, because not only Jerry Jones is the owner of the Dallas Cowboys, he's the general manager. That's kind of a conflict of interest. If you own a team, you shouldn't be a general manager at all, because that's a conflict of interest. And Jimmy Johnson wanted more player personnel control. So Jimmy Johnson parted ways with the Cowboys, and he went into the broadcasting booth for Fox. And Jerry Jones replaced Jimmy Johnson with Barry Switzer, who was a college football coach for the University of Oklahoma. Jim Ross is a big Oklahoma football fan, along with former WHDH weekend weather meteorologist is Chicago Wingler. And the Cowboys made it to the NFC Championship game in 1994, but they got murdered by the 49ers. 1995, Jerry Jones opened up his wallet and signed Deion Sanders to a long-term contract, and Deion Sanders was the missing ingredient for the Cowboys to get back to the Super Bowl. They won the NFC Championship game again, beating the Packers, and then they beat the Steelers in Super Bowl 30 by a score of 27-17. 3 Super Bowl winning championships in 4 seasons. It's amazing, especially the NFL was going into the salary cap era, which there was no things as dynasties and stuff like that, even playing field, but the Cowboys somehow got the talent, and the Cowboys are America's team because they have a national following. There's more Cowboys fans than any team in the NFL. It's amazing. The Cowboys fans everywhere. After the Cowboys won Super Bowl 30, they started a decline. Aikman got old and hurt. The Cowboys made the playoffs in 1996, but they had to play wild card weekend, beat the Vikings, but then they lost in the second round by the Panthers. They missed in 1997, 1998. They won the division. They had to play wild card weekend, and they lost to the Arizona Cardinals. 1999, they were 8-8, but they made the playoffs, and they lost to the Vikings. And then for several years, the Cowboys were on and off, mediocre at best. Aikman retired, Emmitt Smith aged. Eventually, the Cowboys released him. Irvin retired. A lot of these players, the core of the players, were aging or retiring. And the Cowboys have not been a great team ever since. The Cowboys have made the playoffs a few times, but always get bounced in the first or second round. And there's a lot of people think that Jerry Jones should quit as becoming general manager and just focus on the ownership. And if that happens, the Cowboys could be a Super Bowl winning team again. That's what a lot of experts say, and I think it's true. I think an owner should not be involved with the day-to-day operations of player personnel, because many of these owners who own these teams really don't know how to run like player personnel, who to draft and stuff like that. I think like Jerry Jones is just maybe power for him, but it's more power to him. But I think if a majority owner of a sports team should not be like a general manager of any player personnel. They could advise them, but they shouldn't be in total control, because that's a little bit of a conflict of interest. And Cowboys made the divisional playoffs this year, made it to the second round of the divisional playoffs. Tony Romo's now the quarterback for them. He's a great quarterback, but I don't know if he's good with Roger Staubach and Troy Aikman, even though he's passed for more touchdown passes in NFL for Cowboys history. He's still not a major quarterback in the NFL. He's not a big time quarterback because the Cowboys have been mediocre at best since the late 90s. But who knows if they're going to be back as a dynasty again. But you never know. They're America's team, and they could jump back in the fray next year, hopefully, because there's still a lot of Cowboys fans who want to see another Super Bowl won by them. It will be number 6 if they win another one. It will tie them for the Steelers. And that's about it on the Cowboys 1990 Dynasty. Be back for the 4th and final video blog of the night. This is a rarity with a fourth video blog. I only do 3 a day, but if it's something that warrants a special blog, like the Patriots winning Super Bowl 49, I'll do it. And 4th and final video blog tonight will be the person I profile about, former WWE superstar, The Godfather. Come get on the whole train. And see you later, Facebook, YouTube, Daily Motion, and Twitter fans. Bye now.